congratulations to you two on the release of Divorce Bait. What has that been like kind of building up to having it out and now having it out globally?
Wow. It's a long, slow process. Like we filmed this in 2020, and it's like the day we were filming, they shut down Los Angeles, and the only people who could be out were essential workers. And guess what? They designated film as essential work.
Yeah.
Yay for us. And anyway, now 2 years later, we got picked up by Samuel Goldwyn Pictures after a bidding war with Lionsgate. So that took a while for them to kind of hash out that bidding war. And then for the release and the delivery of the materials, it's like a long, slow process. So it's very, very gratifying to see it hit the world.
Yeah, and I mean, have you guys watched it like in theaters or anything? Have you seen people's reaction to it?
Yeah, we've had three screenings. We and then just on Friday we attended a private premiere, small, super small, and it was just so wonderful to hear all the laughter and just like the laughter would like step on the next joke, and it's there's just nothing like it, of being in that room with other 50 other people
Especially
watching
a
it.
comedy, it's like you could chuckle in your own, bedroom or living room, but in a theater, it's contagious.
Definitely. And I mean, for anyone who hasn't had the chance to watch it yet, what can they expect from this film as a whole?
A lot of laughter. It is an adult comedy.
It's outrageous.
Yeah,
I like to call it an outrageous rom-com because we really push the envelope. Like in every scene, it just kind of goes. We go far and then we go farther, and we really get right to the line of like, wow, like
absurdity.
yeah, absurdity. Like they went there
In a fun way.
yeah, in a real fun way. But it also has a deeply human heart and really about relationships and how we actually feel and how trust and how people are afraid to let their walls down. It's very, very thematic.
I mean, the dialogue in the script was amazing. I'm wondering, Christina, what was that like kind of sitting down and writing it, but having to find the mixture of like comedy, but also relationships and heartwarmingness and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I mean, developing the characters, developing the dialogue, that was fun. I realized like I am a comedic writer. Like you realize that, but it was really tapping into a lot of like personal things that I have gone through, etc. And then there were things that were outside of
that
my
we have gone through.
Oh yes, because of the relationship. Yes, myself as a single person and then also married, right? Because we straddle both worlds, because in this there are characters who are divorced and they're now newly single. We dabble with sexuality, and the first scene is interesting because when we were talking about it, executive producer Patrick and I, and we wanted to start off strong, like very like this kind of like he said, she said perspective, and you'll see. But what I loved about this was we were bringing that element of like a little bit raunchy, but just how women and men talk about each other, with your girlfriends, and it was both sides of the coin, the he said, she said. And yesterday, a friend of mine made a comment. She said, I think right now, especially, it's the time, back in the 80s, 90s, maybe we only heard the men talking, and then now it's like we really get to see both perspectives and of relationships, and the sexuality aspect of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, what was that like for you, Patrick, bringing this script to life? Because there are so many amazing shots throughout the whole film.
Well, I worked with Istvan Latang, who I worked with on, in other words, a previous film. He's a great cinematographer, and he and I like have a very. We've worked on 3 films together now, and we have a very symbiotic kind of way of working. And so, I think the photography is beautiful. But bringing the script to life it's a lot of fun. For my directing style is, first of all, to cast great actors, which I think we did. I'm really proud of the actors, Justin Bertie and Vanessa Vasquez and Eric Fellows and all the supporting cast were really strong. But then I really like to keep it loose. They have to know their lines, but then I want them to add to it, or a little bit of improvisation is always welcome, especially in comedy in my book. And so we allowed them to improvise, and I think that gives it a freshness. More than a few times a joke came out that wasn't written because of, they start to really vibe on what the scene's about. And like, for instance, they're arguing in the car, and he's like, "Oh, relax, Cardi B." He's like, "I'm not going to divorce you," and she's like, and she does the little trill, she slams the door and says, "Oh," Anyway, that just came out in the scene, and that was actually day one. And I came back to Cristina. I was like, "I think we got something here. Like, this is working. This is working." So it was very exciting.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, do you guys have a personal favorite scene from this film? Because there are so many like amazing scenes and different like funny moments.
I think for me, one of my favorite scenes is probably in the coffee shop. It's such a in the coffee shop. So the wife has already posted that they're getting a divorce. It was an experiment, and then she suggests to him, just to prove she's right, go on this coffee date that you've been asked to go on. And he accepts, and she realizes like this is like what she actually did, right? So she listens in on their conversation in a fun way, which I won't give away, but the whole scene was very comical, very kind of like I Love Lucy. Like, she's behind a plant, and like the whole thing, it falls, and it just very physical comedy, a lot of physical comedy, a lot of like anyway, just the nuances in that scene really crack me up. What she's seeing is really not what is happening, because she can't hear at one point, and then what she does hear is also twisted, and so and then he ends up on the couch because he should have never taken the date. So that was my favorite.
What about you?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is there's a lot of outrageous comedy. I love the the ex-boyfriend like date, the hot dog date. But I gotta say, my favorite scenes are actually the arguments. Like in the car when they argue, when he's like, "I've had enough of this," and she goes, "Oh, so you had enough of me?" He's like, "I said this." So many people tell me like, "Oh my God, that's exactly how we argue at my relationship." And I think Cristina really nailed it on the head with the way the argument unfolds. And then later on, when they're actually kind of broken up and he's sleeping at his friend's trailer, what he says, he's so hurt by what she's done, and just that, I think it's really poignant, and I think I think people know how that feels, to feel betrayed or heartbroken or mistrusted. So those are my favorites.
Mm-hmm. And there's definitely a lot of different concepts and stories going on throughout the whole film. But I'm wondering if you guys could describe this film as a whole in 3 words, what would they be?
They would be
funny AF.
So there's letters. They've got the letters. That's a good job. 3 words is tough. It's don't trust anyone.
Okay.
Don't take the bait. Don't take the bait.
Fair enough.
Don't take the bait. Yeah.
But I know you guys are still celebrating this release, but I have to ask, do either of you have any future projects that you can hint at or talk about?
Well, let me start. Yes, I have one that's already completed, another romantic comedy that I got to shoot in New York City in the West Village. It's a take on love and gentrification and real estate in the West Village. And it's called Townhouse Confidential, and it'll be released January 31st. So maybe
Vision
we'll be
Films
back
pick
on
it
your
up.
show. We'll talk about it. But then we also, Cristina produced and I directed a film that we just wrapped in San Antonio, Texas. We're very, very excited about this film with international multi-platinum superstar Luis Fonsi, who sang Despacito. He's the lead in it. He wrote music for it. It's a lovely, lovely story. And it's my fourth rom-com. So
Okay.
I think I'm getting better at this stuff.
Currently, I'm adapting a memoir into a screenplay, and I get to go to Cuba to do research. I think the research for me is like the real fun part of it. I mean, not just that, but like interviews and stuff like that. But I do get to go to Cuba for this one. I'm excited about that.
What about free lunch?
Oh, yeah. And then I directed my first feature film a year ago. And we are now in post-production and finishing that up. So Forrest Hartle wrote that one, and Alex Leonatis was my producer on that.
It's a schoolyard noir.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's a fun kids comedy, and she did a great job.
Yeah, it's called Free Lunch, and so that'll be so we're in post-production on that one.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be out next year sometime.
Sounds like you guys are keeping busy.
Yeah. Thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yep.
But thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on everything. It was so great talking to you.
Thanks,
you.
Gracie. Divorce Spate is out on all video streaming channels: iTunes, Amazon, Roku.
Anywhere you could rent movies. It's still for rent. Later on, it'll be on a premium platform. We're not sure which.
And in some theaters,
limited theaters, and for rent anywhere you rent your movies.